it's just been an unreal experience for me to come back here to Tennessee, a place, a state that I really love and have spent a lot of time in, and make this happen. This beautiful story about Michael Spurlock and these Karen farmers and this church named All Saints in this town, Smyrna. I can't believe I'm part of it. Very few hours of sleep a night. I never once in this whole experience got more than 5 hours of sleep. Not one time, yet was never tired, hardly yawned. Oh, that's usually the way it is. Oh, when is this day going to be over? Oh, 6 more hours. It wasn't like that. Somebody might have been helping me along here, you know. Have you been? I don't know. It's possible. Cold out, 47, 46 degrees. Everyone else in parkas. John, we're going to do one more, you know, steam coming out of their mouth. And I was in a shirt with a linen shirt with ice cold rain. Not this warmed up stuff that Tom Hanks gets in a rain scene. My stuff was a fire hose hooked to a fire hydrant. And fire hydrants, as everyone knows, come from pipes about 40 feet under the ground and then come up. So the water's quite brisk as it comes out of these. These weren't really rain machines either. They were field sprayers. You know, these were field sprayers that somebody lifted up on a crane and hung from the sky and just started spinning. But my fear of being freezing wet at 3 in the morning for hours and hours and hours was met with, hey, this isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. In fact, I would ask them I really wanted to be wet in these scenes instead of being dry and then running in and just having wet hair. I would ask them to crank the sprayers on and stand under them and kind of get drenched so that when I ran up to a car and said, point out your headlights this way, I would be soaked. And you could see that the shirt was soaked. And I started to like it, actually, after 4 days. It was a bizarre like. On one particular night, Michael Spurlock and his wife, May, and their kids showed up. I didn't know they were going to be there, even though other people did. And it was on our daily program that they were going to give a visit. But I rarely look at that. And someone said, would you like to meet Michael? And I said, Michael who? I didn't know they were coming. Michael Spurlock. Where is he? He's right over here. And he was in his pastor's black and white. And I was about to shoot a scene where I pray out loud and ask for some guidance from God. It's one of the only scenes in the movie where I do that. And it was, you know, interesting. You know, God spoke to Michael Spurlock in a real voice and told him to get to work planting 17 acres to turn into a garden. He had farmers from Burma, and he had 17 bare acres. And he had a church that was about to close down, and he asked for some guidance, and God said to him, here it is. He already given it to you. Just get to work, plant some things, and sell them, and feed these people, and it will all work out. And I asked him about that, and maybe I shouldn't share it, but I'll just share that he said it was an audible voice in his head that wasn't his own, and it was as real as could be. And I believe he said, I don't want to misquote him, but I believe he said, and it's never happened again. And so now I'm about to shoot that scene, and there he was, and he gave me a Amy was saying, if you ever, because I was injured right before I started this movie. I fell off a roof and almost needed to have my left ankle fused. I fell off of a 10-foot roof and tore every ligament and tendon and broke 3 bones in my left foot on Memorial Day, May 28th. And we were supposed to start shooting 2 months later. And I also hit my head so hard that I tore my retina. I had to have emergency retina surgery. So I had this big accident, and through all of June and July, I was in a cast and wasn't allowed to walk at all, because if the foot healed properly, I wouldn't need it fused, which was a foot basically welded into an L position. So I was telling them that I might have had to pull out of this movie, and how it was really miraculous that in 2 months, instead of having that major surgery or any surgery at all, I healed and was able to come do this. Where a couple weeks before the start of the shooting, I was just out of this cast and could barely walk and put pressure on it. Now here I am running through wet fields and falling and just doing everything as if I was 25 years old. And Amy said, Michael ought to give you a blessing. He's really good at giving blessings. I said, well, I could use a blessing. And Michael gave me a blessing, and he put his hands on my head, and he started to say a simple prayer, really, out loud. But then the family put their hands on me. It was really moving right before I go to shoot this scene, and I'll never forget it. It's one of the best decisions that I've ever made in 30 years of being in this business, was to say yes to this movie when I was very reluctant to come do it, only because I felt like I had been playing nice guy roles like this for decades, and on one level that was kind of boring to me, and I wanted to do something different acting-wise. Play some villains, not be in romantic comedies, not be America's boyfriend. And I was going to say no to this. And somebody very close to me read it and said, you got to do this. And I said, I've done this kind of thing a lot. Got to do it, read it again. So I read it the second time and said, you're right, I gotta go do this. So it was, like I said, best decision I've ever made.